God, please speak, for we are listening. Amen. Who betrayed Jesus? Judas comes to mind. Judas would move from being a loving disciple, a safe person, to a treacherous informant. Judas would not protect Jesus, but would turn him over. And so he was called the betrayer. Who betrayed Jesus? Peter betrayed him too. Peter was even part of an inner circle, Peter, James, and John. He had VIP access to miracles and teachings. If anyone should defend Jesus, if anyone should show up for Jesus, it should be Peter. Yet when Jesus predicts his own death and resurrection, Peter rebukes him. Even before Holy Week, Peter is denying Jesus. Far be it from you, Lord, he says. This shall never happen to you. That's a betrayal of Jesus and of his mission. Peter's betrayal of Jesus would go even deeper in Holy Week when he would deny Jesus publicly and loudly 3 times. There's more. When Jesus gets to the Garden of Gethsemane, he pleads with his disciples, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. Stay here and keep watch." He just wanted his disciples to stay awake with him, just show some solidarity. He was overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. That is the language of trauma. Even before Jesus was arrested, Jesus finds his crew sleeping. Could you not stay awake for 1 hour? Betrayed by loved ones yet again. Well, surely Jesus' family would stick with him. Very early in Jesus' adult ministry, Jesus appoints the 12. He pulls them together, and then it says, Mark 3, when his family heard about this, they went to take charge of him, for they said, he is out of his mind. His family, whom he relied on for support and nurture and safety for 30 plus years, they tried to seize him, and they called him crazy. Now, I get we might say family is crazy. But his family's intervention was also a betrayal. They wanted to sideline Jesus. They wanted to clip his wings. They wanted to keep him from his God-given mission. Jesus Christ was betrayed at just about every turn by one of the 12, by one of the 3, by his own family. And that's just at the personal level. There's still more to who betrayed Jesus. Jesus also experienced institutional betrayal. I only learned that phrase recently, institutional betrayal. But as soon as I heard it, I thought, oh, I know what that is. There were institutions that were supposed to provide for and protect Jesus, but they did not. Like the temple. Like the religious leadership. The chief priests and the elders and the Bible scholars of his day that he amazed as an adolescent when he taught them. They turned on him. Jesus was as observant and as close to God as you could get. And yet time and time again, he found himself betrayed, even chased by the religious institutions that were supposed to treat him with dignity. Many religious leaders handed him over. And parts of his religious community shouted, "Crucify." And then Jesus found himself betrayed by the political institutions of his day. The Roman Empire had the power to actually do something. Jesus deserved a fair trial. He deserved an advocate in Pontius Pilate. And instead he got, "I wash my hands of him." Jesus betrayed, again, by a person, Pilate with the full weight of the institution of the Roman Empire behind him. The researcher Jennifer Fried, F-R-E-Y-D, she says institutional betrayal is a failure of institutions to intervene on behalf of people who depend on those institutions. Institutional betrayal is when ones who are appointed to protect and to serve instead neglect and betray. And it's so much worse when all of these people, Judas, Peter, Jesus' family, and these institutions, the temple, Rome, it's so much worse when they have already provided Jesus with support. They have been a safe place until they are not. They have all loved him and nurtured him and respected his rights until they betrayed those rights. They were all so trusted and trustworthy until they were not. So when Jesus cries out from the cross, my God, why have you forsaken me?" behind those words is a lifetime of pain and the trauma of all his betrayals. And now even you, O Lord, are forsaking me to Yahweh. Personal betrayal was bad enough. The institutional betrayal puts Jesus up on the cross. And now Jesus asks, with the whole world listening and talking about it 2,000 years later, is there divine betrayal too? What happened to I and the Father are one? What happened to "This is my Son whom I love, with him I am well pleased"? Whatever we make of the theology of it, and I'll leave that to another preacher, Jesus' prayer is a powerful portrayal of how a deeply traumatized person feels. Abandoned, disoriented, fragmented, fractured, alienated, a stranger to the world, a stranger to yourself. My God, why have you forsaken me? And maybe on some level you can relate to this Jesus who knew so much betrayal. Maybe you have held in your body the overwhelming pain that betrayal trauma causes. Do you know, like Jesus, what it feels like to be betrayed by a friend or a family member? Have you been working with colleagues for a common cause and you thought you were together only to have them undermine what you had all agreed to? Do you know, like Jesus, what it feels like to be betrayed and exploited by the institutions that were supposed to be there for you? Have you brought your deep pain to the institution we call church, only to get hurt even more? I'm a pastor, remember, and I'm saying this. Have you been betrayed by a religious leader? Or by a political leader? Someone you turn to for safety, only to have them try to devour you? I know that's true of somebody in this room. And like Jesus, after this betrayal that you felt, have you then prayed or wanted to pray, my God, why have you forsaken me? Have you wondered if even God whom you trusted betrayed you? However we wrestle with this prayer and what it means, we know this. Jesus said it. He prayed it. He said, my God, why have you forsaken me? So Jesus knows that prayer when he hears it from you. Jesus knows what you feel like when you've been betrayed. By your family, by your church, by your friends, by institutions, by the government. When you wonder if you've been betrayed even by God. When you ask Jesus to get you out of this God-forsaken mess, Jesus remembers the cross. After Jesus prays, my God, why have you forsaken me?" He cries out again and he dies. And then, this is Matthew 27:51, it says, "Behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rocks split, and the tombs broke open." And it says the bodies, this is on Good Friday, the bodies of many people who had died were raised to life. They were raised to life. Jesus, as Matthew tells it, had just died. We are just seconds away from the betrayal trauma and the torture overwhelming his faculties to cope, even to the point of death. And we hear the bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. Something with resurrection happened, not just Sunday at the tomb, but Friday on the cross. Something must have happened with that prayer. My God, why have you forsaken me? Because already Jesus' death right away is bringing wholeness and power and resurrection. The temple curtain ripped. That temple, that institution that had betrayed Jesus, dividing curtain torn in half. The ground shook and the rocks split in two. This is a new powerful world that only Jesus can bring. Even the rocks will cry out with life. Those tombs that included the saints of old, many of whom were betrayed unto death themselves, those tombs opened up. The dead were raised to life. Being betrayed and feeling God forsaken violates even your ability to make meaning of life. Yet Jesus' betrayal, Jesus' trauma at the cross, Jesus' cry of God forsakenness gives new meaning to all pain and suffering and betrayal. The cross means that you have new life right now. Even when you are betrayed. Feel like you're dying. Even on your Good Friday, the cross means resurrection. Bodies are already raised to life even while Jesus is still on the cross. The cross means that even when people and institutions betray you, God will, in fact, not betray you. Because even the dead are raised. God will not forsake you. God will not leave you for dead. God has brought you back to life, and God will bring you back to life as many times as you need so that you can breathe again, so that you can walk again, so that you can live again, and so that you can trust again. There's resurrection even on Good Friday. The prayer goes up, my God, why have you forsaken me? And the answer comes down even before Easter. The answer to Jesus' fourth word on the cross comes on Friday. Here I am, tearing the curtain in two. Here I am, shaking the earth. Here I am, splitting the rocks. Here I am, breaking open the tombs. Here I am, raising the dead to life. Here I am, raising your bodies that have known so much hurt and have held so much injury and have borne so much pain. Here I am, raising your bodies, God says, that had been betrayed again and again. Here I am raising your body to new life right now, even on Good Friday.